gonna wait on Jennifer and Carl when they tell. Do not pay any attention to that clock on the back wall. It's on Washington time. So, I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Danville City Council Public Works Committee, Tuesday, November 9th, 2021 at 6 p.m. Roll call, please, with establish quorum.
Chairman Poor, can you please lower your mic?
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Oh, come on. He's loud enough. Come on.
Alderman Mike O'Kane,
Here.
Brenda Brown, Bob Iverson,
Here.
Heidi Patel,
Here.
Jim Pichard,
Here.
Carolyn Wands,
Present.
Chairman Mike Poor,
Present.
6 present.
6 present. Let the minutes reflect, Alderman Brenda Brown is ill, so she called me earlier and said she would not be here. Okay, we have the minutes of the October 12th meeting. If there are no corrections to those, need a motion to approve, please.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Approve the agenda. Well, we have to make a little change. We should have under item number 9, instead of DEF, we'll make it ABC. And then, just for your info on 11D, that will be actually a public service committee. Chief McMasters will be explaining that to us. Okay? So with that, need a motion to approve the agenda, please.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Item number 4, Madam Clerk, audience comments.
Did anyone wish to speak this evening? We have no audience comments, Chairman.
All right. And chairman's comments, I have none at this time as well. So we'll move on to item number 6, approval of the payrolls. Those will be for 11/5 of 21. Need a motion to put that on the table, please.
So moved.
Second.
Questions on payrolls? Okay, roll call, please.
Alderman Wands,
Yes.
O'Kane,
Yes.
Brown, Iverson,
Yes.
Patel,
Yes.
Pichard,
Yes.
Poor,
Yes.
6 yes.
6 yes, thank you. We'll be next approving the vouchers payable from November 5th and November 9th. Need a motion to put that on the table, please.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, questions on the payables?
You said the 5th and the 9th. All I've got is the 9th.
There's special run. Yeah, special, there was a special
Little
run.
one was,
Yeah,
yeah.
I want to pick them up.
okay. Roll call, please.
Vice Chairman O'Kane,
Yes.
Alderman Brown, Iverson,
Yes.
Pertel,
Yes.
Bouchard,
Yes.
Wands,
Yes.
Poor,
Yes.
6 yes.
6 yes, thank you. Moving on to item number 8, we did invite our comptroller to come to our meeting because we were nice. So we have 8A, a resolution authorizing an agreement for health insurance through Epic Insurance Midwest. Oh my goodness.
As you've probably guessed, I am going to defer to our risk manager, Miss Corson. She's going to give you an update on the drama of our open enrollment and health insurance renewal.
Okay. So we will put this on, need a motion second?
Second.
Okay. All right.
Okay, good evening. This has been a very unprecedented health open enrollment for us. One of the things that happened was Blue Cross Blue Shield waited. They held our bid until our absolute deadline that we had to have. They released it at midnight the day of that we needed it, and they had a 17% increase. Our brokers were unable to get them to budge. What was most upsetting is that 17% increase is very unwarranted. Our utilization from 2021 pretty much mirrors our utilization in 2020, except in the exact way that we accrued it. With 2020, with COVID, we had several months where there were no months of or much usage of health insurance because nobody could go to the doctor. Then later months in that year, then there was an increase because people were finally able to get back into their providers, get things done that got put off during that COVID quarantine. So our 2020 has been more of just a regular, but the amounts are, like I said, they mirror our 2020. Our 2020 utilization was so low that they actually gave us a decrease in premium for 2021 by 7.5%. But now this year they wanted a 17%. The broker there at Blue Cross Blue Shield, even applying all of her incentives to it, we could only get that amount down to 11.9. So that is why we decided that we needed to go out to bid, because of the fact that this was just not something, like I said, it was not a warranted increase. So that is why we went out. And of course, that pushes kind of everything back. There was a very nerve-wracking time that we were waiting because of the fact that normally it's only about a week. We have a bid. We don't have any issues. Unfortunately, because Blue Cross Blue Shield is doing this to all of their large businesses, there was what Health Alliance coined as the blue wave. So they were being inundated with businesses requesting bids as well. So not just us. So we did get the information. We got it in, some of it late last night, the rest of it this morning. So this is kind of the compilation of it all. When we take a snapshot of our current enrollment, because unfortunately enrollment is always fluctuating. People have changes, additions, and they drop coverage, divorces, marriages, births, all of that. And then, of course, then there's hiring and termination. So that adjusts the actual enrollment on a continual basis. So it's kind of hard to get a true exact yearly amount. So what we do is we take a snapshot of our current enrollment, using our current enrollment the way it is, and then the numbers that we have. So on the breakdown that I supplied to everybody, the very first two columns, that is based on, at the bottom of it is where all of those rates are at. And that is based on our current enrollment as of today. So these are our current rates, the 2021 rates that we're currently paying Blue Cross Blue Shield. So for our high deductible plan, a person who only needs single coverage would be only paying $631.90. Actually, I'm sorry, the city would be paying $631.90 for that particular coverage. $651.42 for somebody on the PPO. If you look at the next two columns, the plan is exactly the same. There was no changes to the Blue Cross Blue Shield, but this is the Blue Cross Blue Shield's 11.9% increase. Those are what those rates are. So it's a significant difference in the amount. And the last two columns are the plan changes in design for Health Alliance, and then the premium amounts. So you can see that the amounts of Health Alliance are much more in line with what we currently have. So taking the snapshot of our current and then multiplying it by 12 to get a yearly amount, that is what those yearly totals are based on, is that current snapshot times 12. So as you can see, with the Health Alliance rate, there's only a 1.375% difference in the yearly amount versus the yearly amount for 2021 using that snapshot. Health Alliance is also providing $125,000 in basically an initial incentive for us to come over to them as well. So that brings our total yearly amount even lower. So in actuality, when you're looking at those two yearly amounts from Blue Cross Blue Shield's yearly to that Health Alliance yearly, it's only a difference of $12,014.56. So it's definitely significantly better in the premium amounts. There are some differences in the plan designs and changes from the Blue Cross to Health Alliance. We do not have a regular PPO plan with Health Alliance. It's what they call a POS plan, and that stands for point of service. And that point of service plan is one where it has more copays. It's kind of a hybrid between a PPO and an HMO. So if you notice, as you're looking, especially on the POS side, because the high deductible plan, the only differences in it are the amount of out-of-pocket that a person would pay. The Health Alliance plan is lower than our Blue Cross Blue Shield plan. So over on the POS plan, as you can see, not only do you see deductible, out-of-pocket, there's co-insurance and co-pays. But those amounts, there's some differences in some go up, some go down, just kind of depending on what that specific is. But the best part of the plan is the fact that an employee's out-of-pocket cost goes down significantly. So for an individual, no individual will pay more than $1,000 towards their yearly deductible. Our current PPO is $1,500. The out-of-pocket maximum is $3,000, whereas under our current PPO, it's $4,000. One of the main differences between that out-of-pocket is that under the PPO, prescriptions go towards their own out-of-pocket maximum. So if somebody has a really bad medical year, not only do they need a lot of major medical services, but they need prescription services as well, they could potentially pay $5,000 in out-of-pocket for their medical for that year. Under the Health Alliance plan, prescription copays will also eat away at that out-of-pocket maximum of the $3,000, which is lower. And so if somebody has a bad medical year, once they hit the $3,000 out-of-pocket max, not only are they not paying anything for any major medical services, but they're not paying anything for their prescriptions as well for the rest of the calendar year.
I have a question. So with the Health Alliance HP and the POSC, is it up to the individual which plan they choose, or is that
Yes.
something the city would do?
No, every employee is responsible for choosing which plan that they want to be on. And so not only do they choose between the high deductible health plan or what would now be the POS, but then they also determine which demographic that they want to fall under. So they can be just employee only, employee and spouse, employee and children, or family. So we have those 4 different demographics, and each one has a different premium amount per month.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Other questions? Alderman O'Kane.
What about doctors and
In
and
Indiana?
groups? Christy, Carl, all the other different groups.
One of the nice things that was a concern that we had because of the fact that with Health Alliance, they're really great when you're in this region because Christie Clinic, OSF, they're still in network, and of course Carl is, with Health Alliance. One of the things that we were concerned about is we do have a lot of people who utilize Indiana doctors or doctors that are not in this area. Because of that, what they have done is they have added what they call a wraparound plan. It is through a company called First Health, which is sponsored by Aetna, which is a nationwide plan. So if you utilize a doctor who is in network with that First Health through Aetna, then they will process that bill as in network, even though it's not quote unquote Health Alliance.
So if you see an OSF doctor here and they send you to Peoria, no
Mhm.
problem.
No problem.
Okay.
Yeah, the wraparound plan should significantly reduce anyone having to change their current physicians or specialists that they might have.
Other questions for Ms. Corson? Yes.
Is there anything that Blue Cross has or that is better than the Health Alliance that we should be worried about?
It just really depends on what your specifics are. There are, like I said, some of the copays are a little different. For primary care visits, we went from $20 to $25. For a specialist, it went from $40 to $50, but ER went from $250 down to $200. One of the main differences that I think will be, I don't want to say upsetting, but confusing to employees is when it comes to the hospitalization and surgical. The way they have this worded is that you pay a $1,000 copay if you have an inpatient or an outpatient hospitalization or a surgery. Well, right now, under our PPO, those particular services apply to your $1,500 yearly deductible, and the balance is processed at 80/20 till you hit your out-of-pocket max. So what they have done is they say it's a $1,000 copay. Well, they would be paying more under the PPO plan versus this. But I think it's a little shocking to see, a $1,000 copay, but when you stop and think about how the bill would be processed under the PPO, it really is less out of pocket for the member.
Thank you, Kelly.
To summarize, what Kathy has already explained is that Blue Cross's initial quote was an increase of over $414,000 from our premium last year. We're very appreciative to Health Alliance for coming in at a very competitive offer of an increase of 0.3% from our rates this year. So I just kind of wanted to throw those numbers out there. And I also want to say thank you very much to Kathy. She has worked very hard. Open enrollment for an employer who averages 300 employees is no small undertaking, and an attempt to get the best value for the citizens' dollar and also our employees. She's pushed her open enrollment, and it still has to be done by a certain deadline so that our employees don't go without coverage. So thank you, Kathy, for your efforts on that.
Yeah, I would like to agree with that.
Yes.
Because insurance is immensely confusing to the average person. And then when you have a variety of plans and initials, it's very great job that you've done this to help the employees get the best deal through a fog of information. So thank both of you for doing this.
Yeah. And I think the whole committee would echo those sentiments. I mean, we
get
couldn't
asked
do it
that a
without
lot.
you.
I get asked that a lot. Why would you choose insurance?
Okay, other questions for Kathy? Thank you very much. Roll call, please.
Alderman Iverson,
Yes.
Purtell,
Yes.
Bouchard,
Yes.
Wands, O'Kane,
Yes.
Brown, Poor,
Yes.
6 yes.
So 8B is a resolution authorizing an agreement extension with BPC for flexible spending program and COBRA requirements. Need most put that on the table.
So moved.
Second.
With this one, we realized because of all of the issues going on with the open enrollment at the beginning of the month, we realized that this one got missed getting added to the public services meeting at the end of October so that it could be voted on the 2nd. So we are putting that in now, but basically what they do is they're the ones who send the notifications out for employees who terminate, who need COBRA. They also do the flex spending account for our employees as well.
Okay, questions on that one? Okay, roll call, please.
Alderman Purtell,
Yes.
Bouchard,
Yes.
Wands,
Yes.
O'Kane,
Yes.
Brown, Iverson,
Yes.
Poor,
Yes,
6 yes.
6 yes, thank you. Item information, Comptroller, anything? Don't want to have any special meetings for tax levy, budget, all that stuff?
I can just give a very quick update. Our office is currently working with our vendor Inco 10 this week to work on generating bills. So we should have physical postcards in our office, hopefully by the end of the day on Friday, for the sewer, solid waste, and public safety pension fee. That's public works related. If we have any questions later in the agenda or even now, we can talk about the budget and levy, the first draft, if you have any questions on that. I plan to be rolling out a second draft of the budget after I have open enrollment information. So probably the first meeting in December, and then we'll vote the second meeting in December. And I have an updated budget schedule that I'll be distributing at the council meeting.
What's for the Comptroller? Okay, thank you. Moving on to item number 9, legal. I don't know if we've ever had this.
I think one other time.
Oh, one other time, okay. We do have what we changed from 9D to 9A. We have a resolution authorizing the budget amendment of the fiscal year 2021, 2022 legal budget. If there's no objection, also take E, which we changed to B, a resolution authorizing the budget amendment of the fiscal year 21, 22 legal budget, 017. If there's no objection, we'll take those both together. Need a motion and a second, please.
So
Second.
move.
Alderman Patel and Alderman Bouchard. And now we'll turn it over to legal counsel, Simon.
On the one regarding administrative adjudicatory, what that seeks to cover is the training that former corporation counsel provided to Amanda Mank, our assistant corporation counsel, on the administrative adjudication process. That has been finished. She has picked up on it very quickly and doing a terrific job. But that's to make sure we cover him. And we were told we may get one more bill because they're a little late in getting out, I guess, their final bill, but we haven't seen it yet. Legal services, I really can't get into a lot of detail on this, but this covers primarily 2 things. The mayor and I have gotten very, very serious on ramping up efforts to bring down Breezy Tower. And we have had legal counsel representing the city for a couple of years, and the matter has been somewhat dormant in an effort to coax the current owners into bringing it down, and they've been totally uncooperative, in fact, unresponsive. And so we have ramped it up. We have petitioned the court to bring in new parties. We're waiting for the court to sign that order. The current owners of Breezy, there are actually 2 of them, are not in the case because they took ownership after the original demolition case was filed. And it is our goal, mayor's and my goal, to get authority from the court to either direct the owners to demolish it or to allow the city to, but we hope to get authority by the beginning of next fiscal year. So that will cover part of that attorney's estimated fee will be covered by part of it. We also have a couple of union arbitration type issues that are kind of complex and sticky, and I don't want to get into them. But we've had to hire outside counsel who have more expertise certainly than me in arbitration. On the second one, it's just which really relates to our code enforcement folks, our 3 code enforcement. Gasoline obviously has gone through the roof, so this is an adjustment to that. Telephone, we've got another person, Charlie Richards, and to reflect that, we've looking for you to approve an increase. Now the big one, and Logan can talk to this too. We are exploring changing software that the Public Works code enforcement people building code, et cetera, and legal department, code enforcement, property maintenance, some zoning, particular zoning matters. Switching it from Excella to CitizenServe. We've had Excella for a number of years, and it really doesn't operate that well for these two environments. So what we're looking at, and we've had a demonstration by an organization called CitizenServe. A lot of municipalities throughout the state use the CitizenServe. And while it was way over my pay grade, I think Logan and our inspectors understand it. It is an amazing program. It really is. It even can be fleshed out. We're going to start looking at, obviously, inspections and building code enforcement, but it can be fleshed out to become an entire property database. Anything that happens with the property, if the person who's dealing with it chooses to enter it into the CitizenServe database, you end up with a full analysis, or at least all activities. It could be a crime that's occurred on the property. It could be a property maintenance. It could be a renovation with building permits. It could be just about anything related. It could be a confined space issue for commercial building, et cetera. And anyone, and we're going to explore trying to get you all to have access, at least view access. We have to explore that. We didn't have a chance to ask that of the good folks at CitizenServe. So you all can go online, put in an address, and you will see everything that's been entered on relating to that property. So you'll have hopefully your own access, and you won't even have to call us. You'll be ahead of us because you'll get the latest if you look at it after we do. The other thing it can do is handle rental registration completely online electronically, from registering properties to payments. And we understand it can be, and we have to work with Ashlyn and Tyler on this if we go this route, it can be tied into our current accounting software. So it's quite an efficient program. They have also worked with Excella. Our folks who have used Excella and have transitioned from Excella in terms of migrating Excella data into the CitizenServe. It's an amazing program. You can look at different facets and how you enter the program. You can search by various fields in the programs to eliminate stuff that you may not be interested in. And we are exploring that. And the group who attended the training session have yet to get together to kick it around. But the consensus I'm drawing from Logan's side of the street and our side of the street is everyone was very impressed, and we would like to migrate. It's costly. There is no question that it's costly. The annual fee for it is not much more than Excella. It's about $1,000, maybe a little less, a little more. However, like any software of this magnitude, there is a ramp-up fee, and there will be some overlap between. That's why you voted a couple of weeks ago, why we asked you to extend the Excella software license by only 1 year, because we hope to wean ourselves off of that well before that year. We won't get a rebate, pro rata rebate on it, but for a period we will have to be running both programs as we migrate. Otherwise, all our activity regarding property and buildings will cease for a period of time, and nobody wants that. So this will, the total cost once we get it up and running for 1 year is about $43,000. That includes training, setup, the first year license fee, which is $21,500, as well as the data migration. The data migration, depending on how difficult it is, could be a little more or a little less. But I think it's a wonderful opportunity. I have some familiarity with it generally because in Urbana, I was involved in the migration, or not the data migration, but negotiating the contract with CitizenServe, and then hearing people tell me about it, and they're very pleased with it. And I know Champaign is too, because I've spoken with people in the past about it. So hopefully
Well,
we
we-
will consider
If
passing
I
this.
can add just a couple of statements, Jim pretty much covered it all very well, but the two things that I was looking at was value and usability. Not being able to crunch the numbers, but this program will likely pay itself off within 2 years just on staff hours. Contractor registration and rental registration are by far both of our department's biggest time consuming objectives. And this basically makes it automated.
Yeah.
And bar none, we have to contact a third party and pay a third party to have anything changed in our current permitting system. And it's expensive. This is in-house. So it will pay for itself likely in just a couple of years.
Wow, great. Alderman Kane. No, oh, you just scratch your chin, okay. ID, anything? No? Alderman Bouchard, Alderman Wands, Alderman Iverson. Okay, we're voting on the.
Read out his code enforcement stuff.
Right.
May I do have one thing I'd
Okay.
like to ask. The 43,000, is that the first year only, or is that overall every year?
Yeah, that's going to be startup cost. And then the annual payment will be just a hair more than Acela on a yearly basis, around $22,000.
Thank you.
All right, roll call please on 9A and B.
Alderman Bouchard,
Yes.
Wands,
Yes.
O'Kane,
Yes.
Brown, Iverson,
Yes.
Bertel,
Yes.
4,
Yes,
6 yes.
6 yes, thank you. Corporation Council, any item of information?
Last month, we started a problem properties committee among staff. It includes the mayor, public works director, fire department, the fire chief, the police chief, myself, Logan, an inspector, and Amanda. And we met yesterday for our second meeting, and it's turning out that this committee is already beginning to bear fruit. We've developed a policy on the side lot, and in fact, at Director Carpenter's suggestion that we might even look at expanding it to property acquisitions and all in terms of criteria. And I've just finished a draft that I'm going to float out to the committee to see if they want to expand this side lot program. We've developed an application. We are developing a tracking process on exactly where properties we acquire are in the process of sale. We are developing a tracking process regarding properties we get from the Vermilion County trustee, as well as the added agreement that they require their purchasers of Danville property to sign, which basically requires them to abide by our vacant building ordinance, but also gives us the authority, if the property should be demoed, that if they don't demo it, submit a demo plan under the vacant building ordinance, that we will have the right, by their consent, to go on to the property. That's come out of this committee, and the Vermilion County trustee has approved it and is using it, and we're already seeing these signed forms come back. They serve two purposes. They give consent to go on the property and if need be demo it, but it also is letting us know right away which properties have been sold through them in Danville and who the owners are. So that's one aspect. We've got a number of other things on the plate, and I wouldn't be surprised once a month. I suggested this committee a while ago to the mayor, and he mulled it over and finally thought it was a good idea. I was on the committee in Urbana, and not only did we consider like property issues, we considered fire department issues such as what to do about false alarms that keep going off that they have to respond to, crime activity, police know where the crime is, but when you start plotting it out on maps, like over there, they have begun to do, and I'm sure they do it here. I've just not been part of that. You begin to see other patterns set up. And as time goes on, I hope my goal for this committee is to see patterns of whatever, whether it's, building burn downs, house burn downs or crime, or patterns of blight movement in the city, to begin to catch those quicker than we have, to address them up front rather than in a reactive mode. That's my goal for the committee. I believe everyone on the committee shares that. And also, that's about it.
Sounds very positive. Okay, thank you, Corporation Counsel Simon. We'll move on to item number 10. Director Beath, 10A's items of information and our monthly report.
I don't really have too many items of information, or any items of information, I should say, but I just, as a matter of clarification, I just wanted to explain the 4 pages that I added to my packet this month. And we had our pre-production meeting for our 4 new buses last week, or it's been 2 weeks ago now. And these are some of the items that we're able to put on our buses. They're all eligible to use CARES funds if I wanted to do that. So if we, I didn't, I should say we didn't spare any expense on these driver barriers, because I feel that that's very important for keeping our drivers safe and our customers too, so that we don't have, face-to-face interaction as much as possible. So we got the very nice driver barriers with the sliding glass window per se. And the next page is called a QPod, and this is a wheelchair securement system. And it's a little quicker and a little easier for our drivers to secure a wheelchair because of the way the straps are configured. So that again is a little bit less time with one-on-one with wheelchair users. The next page just shows that we're adding an 8th camera to our buses, and I really feel like the cameras have been a huge part of us keeping our insurance rates low, because we are able to go back and look at situations as they occur and, find out what exactly happened, so that there's no question. And our insurance company has used our videos quite often when we have something that occurs on the bus. So we're adding that 8th camera, which is on the roadside near the front, so we can see the traffic coming up beside the bus. We already have one on curbside, so now we're installing one on the roadside. So I think that 8th camera will be beneficial too. And then the 4th page was kind of a waste of paper, because I realized I sent it in black and white, so you can't even tell what color the bus is. But it's just like our other buses. It'll have the mint green and the blue stripe down the side. So imagine, if you will, that was mint green and royal blue. So anyhow, that's what they'll look like, just pretty much like the other buses that we just got in 2019. That's it, unless anybody has any questions.
Questions for the director? No. Thank you very much. Moving on to item number 11, Public Works Director Carpenter. We have 11A as an ordinance approving the purchase of real estate. Turn this over. Oh, that's all it says. There's nothing on the back. Okay, purchase of real estate, 11A. Motion to put that on the table, please.
So moved.
Second.
Who's they're all pointing fingers.
What this is a derivative from the IDA BRP program, which was around the 2016 era that started. Of the 9 properties that Habitat purchased as a qualification to accept the grant, 4 of them were utilized through the grant, and 5 of them that you see here were never tied into the grant for one reason or the other. Essentially, we, as you'll see in the memorandum of understanding attached to this ordinance, the city has been paying property taxes on these since Habitat essentially bought these properties from the city in the first place for us to demolish the structure that was on them. We did end up demolishing the structure on them. We just did not get a reimbursement from IDA for it. So it did not tie it into one of their main rules. The not-for-profit organization that was a part of this demo program had to hold on to the property for 3 years after the demolition occurs. So with these 5 properties, a demolition did occur. We just didn't receive reimbursement. So we've been paying property taxes on these properties for no reason, essentially, just being under Habitat's property. They have no use for them. They do not plan on building on them. So this is to save a minimal amount of funds, around $850 a year. And we're maintaining these lots as well. And they will be going in the side lot program as well.
And I need some direction from Corporation Counsel. I talked to one individual that bought some of these properties and has been maintaining them for years. Should I excuse myself from voting since I've got direct relationship with some of the people that have bought these properties, or?
Can I ask what your relationship, I mean, knowing them,
I actually put him in charge, in contact with the president of Habitat for Humanity to work out an agreement to be able to purchase the properties several years ago. And
yes, you probably should.
okay,
Ricky.
so I won't be voting on this, and I'll excuse myself from doing it.
And actually, not only, normally when one recuses themselves for an apparent or an actual conflict of interest, they should not participate in the discussion.
Okay. Okay. And I'll do that at the full council meeting. I won't say a word. I'll just not vote.
I mean, at the council meeting, just like you did here, I think it's important. In any of these situations, it's important to share the possible conflict of interest or actual conflict,
Okay.
just so they know why you're not.
Yeah, I have no personal interest in it whatsoever. It just, I was on the Habitat board at one time. I'm good friends with
You were
the,
involved in,
yeah,
your board was involved in acquiring these
right,
properties.
right. Any questions? Okay, roll call, please.
Alderman Wands,
Yes.
O'Kane,
Yes.
Brown, Iverson,
Yes.
Pertel,
Yes.
Bouchard,
Yes.
Ford,
Abstain.
5 yes.
Is that the correct term, council?
What?
Abstain?
Abstain.
Yeah, okay. All right, moving on to 11B, we have a ordinance amending chapter 52 of the city code pertaining to solid waste collection. Need a motion put on the table, please.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Director.
What this was all brought about by the lack of individuals wanting to do the things they're supposed to do with their containers basically after. But through discussions with the mayor and legal counsel, it's been determined that, we have this ordinance 52, which goes over all the solid waste rules. But there's no way to enforce any of them, basically. There's no monetary fines or anything else of such when they do not follow the rules. What this will do is will allow us to actually write tickets for individuals that don't remove their toters within 24 hours or midnight, as it says in the ordinance. It'll be a progressive fine type system. It'll be for a 365-day period. Each time they're written up for something, they will all be forewarned one warning before any tickets would be given. And if you read through the actual penalties that the legal counsel drew up, it explains to you that they also will have the right to adjudicate those through the system if they just so desire to argue it. The actual tickets will be, I will have somebody print them up. They'll resemble pretty much our parking ticket. Of course, the wording will be changed on them. It will also have a little tag wire that we can actually attach them to the handle of the containers themselves. They will be yellow, just like a parking ticket. You're not going to be able to say you didn't see it. And then both the code enforcement inspectors and solid waste personnel will be able to ticket them. We will have tickets for both departments, and we'll track them on a shared spreadsheet so that we know who we're writing the tickets to and how many tickets we've written to them. Our ultimate goal isn't to collect a lot of money from this. Our ultimate goal is to get people to comply with the rules and regulations. And some of them will, some of them won't, but at least we do have some way to enforce this now that we can actually track and hold people accountable for.
Questions?
Just want to add one thing. There's a unique feature to this proposed ordinance, and that is normally when a notice of violation or a violation ticket is issued, it opens a case in our administrative adjudication process. I would imagine from the feedback I've received from Director Carpenter and Chief Yates about this, because he was in our meeting as well, as I recall, and the mayor, that we could get inundated with these kinds of cases all over $10, $25 tickets. We hope by the $25 ticket, we're going to start seeing compliance if they go that far, because as you can see, number 3 under B, it gets pretty hefty. And you go down one step further, every day of, the toter is out there. That's its own separate violation. You leave it out there 3 days in a row, you've got 3 violations. You got a $10, a $25, and a $250 violation. Hopefully that will wake up most of these people who just don't bother to bring in their toters. Not going to catch everyone. But in this ordinance, unlike our other ordinance violation situations, the property owner can ask for a hearing in adjudication. We don't initiate it. If they come and they want it, then we'll open a case and process it like any other administrative adjudication case.
Question.
Ms. Cordell?
Yes. So with rental properties, how would that be handled? Will the renter be ticketed or will the landlord be ticketed?
The property is receiving the ticket.
Okay, not the occupant of the
Correct.
property. Gotcha.
Correct. Whether the landlord wants the occupant to pay for it is up to the landlord.
Gotcha.
What was the time period for removal, 24 or 48 hours?
No, the ordinance says it must be removed by midnight, the night of collection. The reason that was put in when we delivered the toters and decided to do this is because we recognize people do work other shifts. And if you work the second shift from 3 to 11, you're still going to get home in time to remove your container. Now, it's like anything else. Yeah, if a person works overtime and they don't get home, we're not out there at 1 o'clock in the morning writing tickets. These are being written the morning, the day after the actual collection. It gives everyone plenty of time to remove the container from the street.
Well, that's the only way you're going to get people's attention, if you get in their pocketbook and enforce it.
We've canvassed the city several years ago, as I spoke to you guys before about. Tracy and I put yellow tags on thousands of containers, and hundreds of people complied and hundreds more didn't comply. So yes, I believe this would be very effective.
Other questions? Alderman O'Kane.
Well, I like trying to get their attention. Somehow or other, we need to be nice if the newspaper or somebody brought this to notice, so these people, some of them who will abide with the new ruling, will have an idea what's coming at them. Number 2, I think one weekend I just counted the east side of Ward 4, which is from the tracks, not the east side, the south side from the tracks. I counted 85 out just going up and down William Street on Sunday when totes are supposed to be back by Friday. So it's people are getting lazy. Some people are calling the garbage clear out to the streets right now instead of pulling their totes back, which is 2 or 3 trips instead of 1 trip. It just doesn't make sense to me. But likewise, that first batch of tickets better be in a plastic bag, because if there are tickets out there for 3 or 4 days and it's raining, they won't be able to read it.
Well, and most of these are still legible after a couple of days, but we will be going back. If we write a ticket, we will be going back the next day again just to see. And unfortunately, because I'm a member of your ward, they'll be working code enforcement on Fridays, but that doesn't mean they're always going to be able to get out there every Friday and look. But living out in that area and patrolling that area myself on the weekends, I'll be able to see who's doing it. And it's not beyond me to put a sticker on somebody's toter on a Sunday after church, what happened. What better? And then Alderman, I'll do a press release if this gets passed by council as well, just so that everybody is aware.
Okay, besides being out at the curb line and not going back, what about the ones at somebody's front porch and stuff like that? Is this being addressed in that?
Well, this ordinance 52 does tell you where you can and can't
Right.
have them. And now solid waste people really can't go up on people's porches and put them on there, but I don't know whether code enforcement can or not.
No.
So
You can't enter onto somebody's property. An enforcement officer or agent cannot just simply walk on somebody's property, and unless police can if there's a crime going on, but something like this, no. But eventually that toter does get to the street, we hope.
Can you issue a ticket from site and mail it to them or something?
Sure.
If it gets bad?
If it gets bad, yeah, that could be done. I mean, if they chronically park their toters on their front porch and it's noted, sure, just like any other violation.
One of those little stickers, True Green, and those people
Yeah.
stick it in their lawn.
Well, years ago, I tried to talk Director Arns into some red tape and tape the thing shut to get the people's attention, because they were leaving it out every weekend, and I just thought maybe that would get their attention, but
It did.
it didn't get done.
Okay, other questions?
I have one.
Yeah.
Where are the toters supposed to be when they're taken from the curb?
Yeah, let me actually read you what the ordinance says.
Thank you.
It is under 5208. Item E, toters shall be stored off of the streets, curbs, gutters, and sidewalks and within the side yard or rear yard of the premises.
Thank you.
Yeah, not in your RV.
Yeah. We do have, Alderman
Yeah.
Pickard.
Back to the question with the landlords. At what point can we do something to the landlords? Is there a point? I mean, when do they become responsible? Because I know some of these people are not going to do this. I've had somebody that's had their toters out there for over 2 months. They will not pay the fines. They will let it go. So at what point can we go back to the landlords?
Well, following up on Director Carpenter's comment, the notice of violation goes to the property because the toters are issued to the property. But from my perspective, the starting point for collecting these violations, and I'll explain the process in a second, well, maybe a little longer than a second. Remember, you're listening to an attorney, right? We charge by the word. In any event, I think the landlord should be and will be the front line for contacting in terms of if somebody doesn't pay. If they want to work it out with their tenant, as Director Carpenter suggests, that's between them and the tenant, whatever their lease provides. And they may, the next year's lease, they may start tenants may start finding that recouping toter fines might be part of, an extra charge, but that's between them and how they pursue it. But I would think that the actual, at least the initiation of the action is by the landlord. Landlord has more control over the tenants than we do. Now, in terms of collecting these things, separate from, if they don't file a quote, a case or want a case filed, there will be a fine. And it's just like any other unpaid fine or fee. We go to small claims court. We don't have to go through the municipal adjudication process.
I might add as well, and I think you could expand a little bit more on it, maybe, council, but by talking with Chief Yates, he said that after so many complaints against the property, they can be considered a nuisance property. And his suggestion is you just call in the landlord or the owner and sit down and have a discussion with them.
Yep.
A lot of times that solves the problem.
I would agree. And in fact, this problem properties committee that I was on in Urbana did exactly that kind of thing with these kinds of issues and hoarders who park their hoardings on their front porch, but also in terms of security. We had one landlord or one property owner, one landlord with, I think it was a 28 unit complex, where there were some criminal activity going on. And it got to the point where we required the landlord or the Atlanta based landlord to expend over $140,000 in fencing and lighting, as well as security on the property and hiring a decent property manager for the property. So these are the kinds of things that could be when we have a landlord or a business owner who is not complying with this kind of an ordinance. Haul them in, try to work it out.
Thank you.
Alderman Bouchard.
Mike, I don't own rental property, but I know several people that do around here. But on a rental properties, should they have an agreement with the person that's renting, an agreement for your people that's renting, and maybe rewrite your agreement and include that they are responsible for those toters, or is that?
Unfortunately, there's a lot of landlords don't even have a lease
Okay.
to be able to enforce anything, whether they collect the rent or, they're supposed to pay the garbage or sanitary or whatever. I mean,
Okay.
and Corporation Golf, probably you've seen this all over too. I mean,
Yes.
yep. I'll take your money and I don't care what you do. And
But the other thing is, it's not something that I think we should be mandating landlords to do. That's up to them. If they want to start including charging these fees that tenants may actually incur, that's between the landlord and the tenant. They have to make the decision. They're sophisticated property owners, I would hope. And so they'll have to decide.
Well, for the property owner's good alone, if they would include that in the rental agreement, where, it would be good for them also, I mean.
Oh, absolutely. But again, that they've got to make that
There's no heat
decision.
on the city, there's just
Yeah.
heat on the property owner to just tell them, hey, I would like for this to be included, and stay to it, stick with it.
I mean,
and that happened when we put on the garbage fee, the sanitary sewer fee, that we made basically, please landlords, include this in your rent payment because you're getting charged in your name for that property. And then they basically tacked it onto the rent. So, okay.
But ultimately, the owner is still responsible.
Right.
If the tenant doesn't pay it.
Which is why a lot of them have
Well-
included as part of their rent.
yeah,
You can put it in a rule or in a contract, but if they don't pay it, the owner is still responsible for
well,
it.
the owner's responsible whether they recoup it by going to the tenant or not. If they include it in their lease and they don't pay it, then that's grounds for eviction.
Right.
But again, that's between the owner and the tenant.
Right. Okay. We need a roll call, I think, don't we?
Yes, we do. Alderman O'Kane,
Yes.
Brown, Iverson,
Yes.
Bertel,
Yes.
Burchard,
Yes.
Wands,
Yes.
Poor,
Yes.
6 yes.
6 yes, thank you. 11C is a resolution awarding bid number 682 for the Harrison Park Golf Course Pro Shop and Cart Barn exterior improvements. Need a motion to put that on the table, please.
So moved.
Second.
Who's taking that? Director Carpenter?
Okay, these are for the improvements to the actual building itself, the exterior improvements, what we refer to as the lean-to on the cart barn, which is on the north side of it. As most of the wood side, it's barn siding, has rotted and deteriorated, big holes in the bottom of it. This would actually be putting on a cement type board like what was used at the Danville Stadium. They're also going to do some other repairs to the fascia and the bottom of it so that this doesn't continue to happen. And then this would also replace some windows and some, once again, barn siding that's on the side of the pro shop with the same type of boarding and painted all to match.
McDowell's has experience on that.
Who's that?
McDowell's got plenty of experience
Yeah,
on that.
well, they did a good job at the stadium.
Questions for Director Carpenter? Okay, roll call, please.
Alderman Iverson,
Yes.
Bertel,
Yes.
Burchard,
Yes.
Wands,
Yes.
O'Kane,
Yes.
Brown, Poor,
Yes.
6 yes.
Thank you very much. 11D is a resolution to apply for an Old Department of Public Health EMS Assistance Fund Grant year 2022 for new AED, EMS gloves, and other EMS supplies. Need most put that on the table.
So moved.
And Chief?
Am I on?
Yep.
Yes.
This is just asking for approval to apply for a grant. It is a no money matching grant, 100% grant up to $5,000 through the Illinois Department of Public Health. We are going to utilize it to, if we receive it, we will utilize it to purchase a new AED for my training and investigation officer's vehicle, which does not currently have an AED. And then the remainder of the money that they give us above and beyond the price of the AED will be utilized to purchase EMS gloves, N95 and surgical masks for medical reasons, for COVID reasons. Since this is an IDPH grant, that's what we will use the money for if we receive it. I'm bringing this to you committee tonight. I have 2 other grants we're applying for as well, but this one is time sensitive. It's due to be turned in by the 4th of December, I believe. So we have to get it turned in right away.
And the reason, Chief called me and asked about, could he bring this to our committee? There's been some discussion previously about things need to go through committee, and this is time sensitive, even though it's not really a Public Works Committee item, it still needed to be brought to us so it could be voted on at full council and then get the application in. So. Questions? No. Okay, roll call, please.
Alderman Bertel,
Yes.
Burchard,
Yes.
Wands,
Yes.
O'Kane,
Yes.
Brown, Iverson,
Yes.
Poor,
Yes.
6 yes.
6 yes, thank you. If there's no objection, I'd like to take 11E and F together. They both deal with 101 West North Street. One is a contract for the asbestos abatement at 101, bid number 679. The other is awarded contract for demolition at 101 West North. So need a motion, put those both on the table for discussion.
So moved.
Second.
And again, council, I'm building committee chairman for the Masonic Temple, which is right next to these properties, and we're in talks with the city of what's going to happen once all this stuff's torn down. Should I not vote?
I'm not sure if you mean you are in talks with the city, if it's the Masonic Temple possibly acquiring some kind of rights to what's left over, parking or whatever, yes, you should.
Okay. So I won't be voting on this one either, but questions? Be nice to get that eyesore down, believe me. and the others down the street.
Is there a time frame on this when this demolition, and I know you're already doing the asbestos, but
Tracy and I spoke this afternoon, and he's saying by the first or second week of December, we could get started on it.
Yeah.
Which would mean basically it'd be down, weather permitting, of course, completely down and almost loaded out by Christmas time.
Yeah, they've been working, what, almost 2 months now?
Yes, and
on
I
asbestos
would
and things.
apologize to this committee as well as the full council next week. Tracy and I thought that when this passed with the agreement to accept the money from the township, that we were okay to go ahead and start with the asbestos abatement. It got started before I realized through the comptroller and the clerk's notification that I didn't put a resolution in to get it approved.
Yeah.
So I would apologize. That's my fault. It is something that we all knew was going to happen, but still should have been brought to you before we actually did the abatement.
doesn't that come out of your paycheck? Doesn't that come out of your paycheck now, the 98,000?
He doesn't make that much.
You know the adage, you can't suck blood out of a turnip, right?
I say the fire escape's gone, the elevator's gone, all the stuff they've been putting in air pumps and everything else. It's probably ready to come down right now.
Well, it is. The other thing with the demolition that I just want everybody to understand, this is the cost for just demolishing it and trucking. We will still have to pay the dump fees out of course, that's all coming out of 310, and you won't see those fees. They don't come across to anybody. We just pay dump fees because we know they're going to come about and they happen. Okay. But, the price that Owens is giving us is a very reasonable price to tear a building of that size down. We will also be responsible for the backfill, and that just means we will supply the backfill. Now, until we know what's going to happen with that lot, whether it's intended to be a parking lot or just a grass lot, we don't know what the fill will consist of, because the engineer could tell you if it's a parking lot like what we did with the old Harwell, then it takes a special kind of fill that we'll have to bring in, and then you got to roll it. And there's a little more cost involved in that. Okay. So you may see I don't know, it would be called a change order for a PO to come through in order to pay for backfill if a parking lot's going to go in there.
Other questions?
Did the township clean out the building or anything? Get the utilities cut off and all that
Oh,
kind
yeah.
of stuff?
Yeah, everything's done.
Well, did we do it or did they do it before they stuck us with the bill?
No, Tracy actually calls in all that. As you guys know, you passed the $50,000. They gave us $50,000 to help with this.
Yeah.
They removed most of that stuff out of that building. They're still, just like everybody else, they left some desks in there and things that they weren't going to take out, but it's not like it's packed full like some houses are when we demolish them. And to be honest with you, Owens will recycle a lot of the brick and the concrete himself, which will help cut down on costs.
And I know we got to get it down. It still irks me that we
Yeah.
got stuck.
Nope.
Anybody else? Roll call then on 11E and F.
Alderman Pashard,
Yes.
Wands,
Yes.
O'Kane,
Yes.
Brown, Iverson,
Yes.
Bertel,
Yes.
4,
Abstain.
5 yes.
5 yes, thank you. 11G is a resolution rejecting bid number 681 for a homelessness project. Need that motion, put that on the table in a second, please.
So moved.
Second.
Logan?
This is a community development block grant attempted bid. The overall scope of the project was for concrete work outside, which was an accessibility ramp and stairs. And this was for the Danville Rescue Mission is what this was
Okay.
bid out for. I missed that. And a large portion of this bid was for electrical work to have heat, up to code heat and electrical in the space. It's out of code, to say the least, and most of the rooms have poor baseboard heat or it's non-existent. So it's got to get pretty cold this winter. We tried to get this bid out. and it came substantially over budget. I think there's a lot more complexity to the electrical work than what we thought. So we've gone back to the drawing board and narrowed down the scope of work, really prioritize code improvement and what's important, which I believe is getting heat in the building for the homeless shelter, and hopefully go back out to bid here very, very soon.
Alderman Patel, anything?
No,
Oh.
he covered it.
Okay. All right, roll call, please.
Alderman Wands,
Yes.
O'Kane,
Yes.
Brown, Iverson,
Yes.
Patel,
Yes.
Bouchard,
Yes.
4,
Yes.
6 yes.
6 yes, thank you. 11H is a resolution authorizing a 2-year agreement with 4UP for a new point of sale system for Harrison Park Golf. Need a motion, put that on the table, please.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, I'd like to introduce
Jim DePratt.
Mr. Jim DePratt. He is the Harrison Park General Manager now. He's done some research on a new point of sale system. He's going to give you a slight presentation here that'll actually inform you how we can save money and have an improved system with what he's done research on.
Thanks, Jeff. All righty, thank you.
So what I'm trying to do, would like to do is upgrade our booking system. The current system, it may be all right, but given the circumstances in which we came in, nobody fully knows how it works that I'm aware of. And it's not very user-friendly. There is a lot of duplicate information. There's a lot of missing information. For instance, we have a guy who plays every day, 5 days a week. And according to the system, he's played 16 times this year. Now, a lot of that is input neglect of information. And I think part of that is because of the way the system works. It's a tablet, it's touchpad, it's inconvenient. What I'm looking to do is upgrade it, make it more user-friendly for the employees, the staff in the clubhouse. It would have no impact on the golfers trying to book online. They'd still be able to book their tee times online. And this system is a little bit cheaper. Currently, we use a T-Snap program. It costs us 10 tee times a week. So when people book online and pay online, T-Snap gets the first 10 online payments. This one would be one a day. So from 10 to 7, it's no money out of our pocket, but it's more money into our pocket ultimately when people book online. This is more user-friendly, easier to keep track of golfers on the course, where they're at based on times, easier to change times, easier for if you book a tee time online currently and you decide you want to cancel it, there's no mechanism for that. This new system there is. So that's what we're trying to do. Again, it'll make it's a little cheaper, which is always a good thing. But it's more user friendly. It's when I look you up as a member, I can see your face, I can put a name to face, and I can see everything there is I need to know about you as a member.
So you're very comfortable with this?
Yes.
And all bunch of different, of course, all over the country are using this program.
Yes. If you look at so the third page here is testimonials. It's got some famous courses here. That's really irrelevant to us. Harrison Park is not Torrey Pines. Sad to say. I mean, it's a great course. Getting to hear all the outside travelers who come to the course and play and hear what they get to say about it. It's like, I never saw the forest through the trees, but now I see, because I get a different perspective of it. And people who travel here to play here, it's unique. They don't get courses like this. They get courses in residential areas, business areas. This is in a natural setting. But locally, Harrison Hills in Attica uses this system. So I have seen it at work. I went over there after I met with them, saw their system. They switched from T-Snap as well.
T-Snap, I'm not computer savvy enough to know all the glitches they have, but reviews, and I've noticed some glitches, and that's part of the reason why Harrison Hill switched is just an upgrade in the
So Jim, do they
system
give
itself.
you, I mean, they'll train on the
Yes.
system and,
They'll Zoom meetings. I've met with them a couple times. Then there's online tutorials, video. But yes, they'll do all that. Page 4 breaks down the different things: booking system, point of sale, which are all things we have now. But I just think it's easier to keep track. I can see, hey, here's what you're typically buying when you come in. What kind of balls,
sure.
tees, things like that. I think it's improved. They manage the website. Well, I manage the website, but they set it up. So there'd be nothing new there.
Get a lot more exposure. Will this give you more exposure out?
Well, yes, thanks for asking that question, because one thing that's not being utilized on this current system is the marketing, to being able to send out the mass emails. This system it's just easier to do with this. It's an easier setup. But again, it's part of that is on us getting cleaned up the information when somebody comes in and I want to enter all your information on a touchpad. Over the course of the past several years, it's just been easier to and let it go. This, whereas on a keyboard, boom, I can get that done, boom, like that.
So you'll have the ability to text message people on tournaments
Yes.
coming up. You'll have ability to email. You'll have ability to
Shoot,
bill it
yes.
yeah.
Text, email, hey, no carts today because of the rain, which unfortunately we've had to say a lot this year. But yes, events coming up, outings, the weather, keeping it, hey, we changed our hours because of the time change, things like that.
Great. Questions for Mr. DePratt?
What I would like to add in is looking through the T-Snap, and this original contract with 4UP would be for 2 years, correct, Jim?
Yes.
Yes, and then it would be a year-to-year renewal as you choose, which is quite similar to what we're doing with T-Snap. Now, we have 30 days to notify them that we no longer desire their services. It says that in one section. I'm going to forward that to you, council, so you can look over that as well, because about 3 steps down, it says you got to notify them 90 days. Now, it's very confusing, so I'm not sure which it is. If it's the 30 days and we're okay with it, there's no charge. If it's the 90 days and we notify them now and we're not giving them 90 days, because as you see, this would take effect January 1st of 2022, then I think it said we might be liable for $1,000 fee that we have to pay T-Snap. So I just want everybody to be aware of that still the difference between 1 a day and 10 a week is going to save the golf course hundreds of dollars, thousands of dollars over the year. So that's something to consider. Having worked on that system when we were in limbo down there, I can tell you, I think she could tell you even
It's
better
bad.
than me.
It's slow. There's a lag.
Yeah.
It's cloud-based.
And they're not real friendly when you call them. They're really not. They're not much help. And that was from the get-go.
Now, regarding your 90 days, I think even if we started this, I think we wouldn't have to terminate, because it's not like any software that goes on the computer. It's all cloud-based. It's all boom, go to the page, log in, and it's there. And given the end of the season, so I don't, I think
We would
could
be
get
in limbo. We wouldn't be accepting any on theirs right now. Anyway.
Right.
So, okay. But I will get that to you, council, tomorrow, because I think you need to look at it. It's kind of confusing.
Any questions?
And just also at this isn't the only system Jim looked at. He presented me with two after I think you said you looked at 3 or 4.
I looked at 3 different
And
additional
yeah,
systems.
he presented
and
2 of them to me and we went through some things and this was the best decision.
It's one of those, this was slightly cheaper than the other, but it's the eye test. It's just this one over that one. The other one would have been fine as well.
Ease of use for the consumer is what's important.
Yes.
Okay, roll call please on item 11. Where we at H? H.
Alderman O'Kane,
Yes.
Brown, Iverson,
Yes.
Pertel,
Yes.
Bouchard,
Yes.
Wands,
Yes.
4,
Yes.
6 yes.
6 yes, thank you. 11I is a resolution appropriating MFT funds for the reconstruction of Madison Street from Chandler to Robinson. Need a motion to put that on the table, please.
So moved.
Second.
All right. Motion by Alderman Patel, seconded by Alderman Iverson, or Vice Mayor Iverson, I believe. Okay.
Want some info? Okay, so basically, this resolution, it's appropriating funds, which basically means we're telling IDOT that council is in support of spending motor fuel tax funds on this project. It's not awarding a bid that would come at a later time. The amount that I have shown there, a little over $1 million. Boy, I hope that's not right. I think the consultant's estimate was a little bit less than that. And in case we have to hire out engineering services because we're too busy and material testing, things like that, we've put some extra contingency on that. I am hopeful that it's going to be less than half that amount for the construction of that section. But I'd rather put plenty in there and then we don't use it than the other way around and have to do this again. So
they'll give us that money regardless, right?
Yeah. So basically, yeah, we already have, the reality is these are funds that we have in house. And in order for us to, part of the process is we tell IDOT, hey, we're going to spend these funds. Council says it's okay to use on this project. And then we go back and we award a bid, as a separate item. And we have to report to them what we spent the money on, along the way. And they kind of track our balance along with us. So even though we have it, we still have to report to them on how it's being spent and used. So this is just one of the pieces of the process that's used that they require. So, and anyway, we tentatively have bids on this section slated for opening on February 2nd of next year. So we expect to put this out to bid right around Christmas or between Christmas and New Year's. So, and this is really phase 1. If you're probably back in I want to say it was late 2019, we awarded a contract to Hutchison Engineering for design services on Madison Street here. This is between the 2 sections that Carl is working on. This is like the city responsibility portion. We're looking at road improvements on Lafayette Street by the Vermilion County Museum, Robinson Street from North Street up to the Carl facility, North Street from Gilbert Street to Logan, and Logan Street from where the road is dead-ended down to Main Street. And we're going to likely build, obviously we're building these in phases as different projects. We're going to try to hit, I think, a deadline of, in a perfect world, we've got Robinson Street and Lafayette and part of North done before Carl opens in 2020, first quarter of 23, somewhere around there. So we might be pushing that, but we ought to be pretty close.
Questions?
Just got a little comment on it, and I think I expressed it to you.
Yeah.
We got all this. I know we got other work to do,
Yeah.
and I understand we got to do it. If we're going to have a new building, we don't want a path to get there. We want a
Right.
road. Kind of wish we had it all appropriated or all put together so we know what we're looking at in the future.
Yeah.
I even had to really ask you which way we going to drive into that Carl complex, which
Yeah.
road. So
Yeah, trust me, you and me both. I wish I had, to be honest, a lot of what I'm doing right now is trying to figure out a good strategy for how we approach these capital projects. And I have not gotten as far down the process of creating a long-term capital plan as what I would like to at this point, and really getting a handle on how that relates to the cash flow, the reserves, all the other elements that we have. Plus, we've got other grants we're chasing all the time right now. So if I knew what tomorrow held, I would be here with it's let's just say it's going to be probably a couple more million, but
And
you
I
know,
understand that. I just feel
yeah.
that we might have other areas of town that might need something. in our-
Yeah, and we're not, and so these projects, we are not, let's say, forsaking those other areas of town. I don't think any of us want that to be at the expense of roadway maintenance or sidewalk repairs. You know, all of these rehabilitation or like complete reconstruction projects, they're the most expensive version of a project that we do. And we're still continuing to do projects, move on projects in other areas. We will still continue to do crack sealing and mill and overlay and oil and chip and, you know, all the preservation techniques that we can to extend the life of our roads. So I can't foresee a year where I will not want to do that and just do a couple of reconstruction projects. So.
Everybody good? Okay, roll call, please.
Alderman Iverson,
Yes.
Pertel,
Yes.
Bouchard,
Yes.
Wands,
Yes.
O'Kane,
Yes.
Brown, 4,
Yes.
6 yes.
6 yes, thank you. 11J is a resolution amending the contract for bid number 669 for the 2021 crack sealing. Need a motion to put that on the table?
So move.
Second.
All right. So coming back to you today because we are 10.1% over budget or over the contract amount by purchasing policy. If we're less than 10% or less than 20,000, we don't need your blessing, but Ashlyn holds our feet to the fire on this. Let me tell you, this is $200 on a $156,000 project. So I am actually grateful for that because somebody's got to keep us honest out there.
Hey, we won't get a finding on the audit now. So.
Well, yeah, but anyway, we actually ended up, and I think this is just a good chance to discuss too, like crack sealing is one of our maintenance activities that like many of our projects that we bid out that are maintenance, we put together an estimate, which we think, you know, that's exactly what it is. It's an estimate. We don't know exactly how many feet of crack are out there, exactly how much material it's going to take. So we were actually quite a bit under budget, which we don't want to stick it to the contractor and have them come all the way down here and not make the money they're supposed to make. So we were able to add Winter Avenue from Bowman, I believe, all the way to Monterey Street to this. And we got all that done for just a small percentage more than, you know, the contract. So it continues to provide a great value for us, but that's all I got. I guess we need some more money approved, and that's my justification.
How long before we run out of weather?
Wow, run out of weather? Yeah, maybe Sunday. This Dave's not losing sleep yet, but I think it's coming.
Any other questions? Okay, roll call, please.
Alderman Pertel,
Yes.
Bouchard,
Yes.
Wands,
Yes.
O'Kane,
Yes.
Brown, Iverson,
Yes.
4,
Yes.
6 yes.
6 yes, thank you. Item of information, 11K.
We don't really have a whole lot. We are beginning to get ready for the snow season. Dave got the salt ordered. We weren't, as we mentioned to you before, we were not able to get the excessive amount that we got in the past, but we got enough to hopefully get us through this winter. We do still have a little bit in the barn at this time. I think, Dave, you got a couple items you might want to inform them about. And then Sam does have at least one other as well.
Okay, so we had, I guess this is just bringing it to the attention, out on Country Club Drive along the detour route for the project that engineering has going on Old Ottawa. We found today our crew was out investigating a completely different complaint, but they stuck the camera in the line and in a sewer line, our televising camera, and ran about 20 feet and found a collapsed sewer line that was getting ready to back up into houses. So we actually found it before it backed up in anyone's house, but so we had to shut our detour route down, and they're now detouring all the way around the outer edge of Danville. The contractor, I got word the contractor completed that repair, and They're all out of there by about 5:30 tonight. And they'll be back tomorrow to fill the whole full flowable. And then Monday we'll be back to put the road back. So, yeah, right. So we did receive a call from a resident thinking that we had something to do with the project going on, and it wasn't discussed. And it was a very much so an emergency repair. So I was glad that we got to it before it backed up and ruined anybody's basements or anything like that. So that's really the only thing we have. Other than that, like Carl said, just preparing for the upcoming winter season and starting that process. So we have about a quarter of a barn left, so we can go through a few snow events without getting our salt in. But the order's in, and they said we should start receiving shipments here in the next month. So
how much price wise?
So the prices this year, I think Carl mentioned this earlier this year. We were locked in last year. We had a super low rate of around $47-ish a ton. And the year prior was 114 a ton. So we tried to renew our contract to where the most they can bump the price up is 20%. Well, we got an email back that apparently some extenuating circumstances happened at a mine, and they completely shut a salt mine down. And that was apparently the mine that we were getting our salt from. So they had to completely rebid we weren't able to lock into our rate that we had the year prior. So they rebid it, and I was expecting some very high numbers. Luckily, that wasn't the case. So right now it came in at like, I'm trying to think, $73 a ton, around there. So I basically put in a purchase order to empty out that line item, but that isn't the full order that we put in to receive this year. So as long as we have a mild winter, we shouldn't have to order anymore. We've ordered above the minimum that we have to order. So we should be good, but we do have extra that should we need it, we have the ability to purchase more. So that's all I got.
Do you want us to prepare a resolution for a mild winter?
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah.
All right. So my items of information, if you are wanting to take your last drive down Logan Avenue, I would suggest you get it in very soon. It's down to one-way traffic northbound by the Carl campus and Leon's. Do not go southbound through that section, please.
You can.
Don't tell anybody. You should not. You definitely should not. But I have seen it done. But anyway, it's quite possible that early to middle of next week that will get closed down. So, and I would not anticipate that being opened up to two-way traffic, or any traffic again after that. So progress continues there at that intersection, improvement at Madison and Chandler / Logan. It's all coming along. It looks very odd going through there, even for somebody who's seen it on paper. But anyway, it's all looking very nice. Just a couple updates on the Denmark Road stuff. The sanitary sewer project is about 97% complete, on paper, and in the field as well. So that one we've had to revise the schedule. We're thinking it's going to be substantially complete around January 6th because of some equipment delays and electrical stuff. And then just final cleanup and things on the sewer project. The roadway project is about 50% complete. We all wish it was a lot farther along than that. Been a lot of utility delays and other issues out there, but we will see, I believe, if I'm afraid to even say this, but tomorrow they should be putting asphalt binder down out on Old Ottawa Road. So we are anticipating Old Ottawa being open for the winter time. It may not be 100% paved, we won't have the surface course on necessarily, but we anticipate that being open. I can't tell you whether or not the causeway will be open at this point, but it sounds like the contractor will be working through the winter, except for maybe a shutdown in the months of January. So unfortunately, I think Dave's going to be dumping piles of salt out on Denmark Road again this year. So he might need that extra salt budget.
Oh, Carl has something too.
I would just like to thank this committee as well as the whole council for allowing Public Works to make the personnel changes that we made. Next Monday, our operations manager will begin his position. We chose an individual named Patrick Sargent, who has been working for 2 years, I believe, year and a half. Oh, well, see, it seems like he's been around a lot
Like
longer.
forever.
But he's been working for Sam as an engineering technician. He does a great job. Very intelligent individual. Close to my heart. He is an Army reservist, so we've got another veteran in our organization. And Dave and I thought maybe our daily lives would get a little easier, but we have found out that there is really a whole lot that we were not getting done. And we've actually been busier than we ever probably were. And it's gonna show real quickly once we get Patrick in place too.
Did
And
you invite him to come to one of our meetings?
I can do that.
Would you like to meet him?
Yeah, we can do that next month so that he gets himself, but I would also like you, Alderman, to come down to the
I
Public
will.
Works.
Just let me know when he's available.
Okay, just so that you can meet him and then Dave and I can go through a little more of some of the changes we're making, okay? But once again,
Next week, just give me a.
yeah, we'll do that. But
Extra call.
I just want to thank everybody and on behalf of all the Public Works team because it's a tremendous help to us. So thank you.
Along their line.
Yes.
I had an old gentleman from my church ask me about stripes
Oh, gosh.
on Old Ottawa Road on the bend. He said people are trying to run him off the road. I haven't been out there. I don't know what the situation is, but please look at it.
Is that like at Old Ottawa / Denmark there, or?
It's where that stoplight is, where you have to stop and,
Oh, those. Yeah.
I don't know. He lives out in Danville West, so I don't know where he'd be going to and from, but he was a little upset about the traffic. He said it's new road and you can't see where the road is. You can't see, people aren't staying on their side of the road or whatever.
Oh, it's not new yet. It's pretty ugly looking out there. But that's probably a fair statement. I'll take a look at it.
Come stay home. Stay home.
Now you got to come to church.
Have the mask.
Yeah. Okay, any other questions under 11? Okay, item number 12, closed session. There's no need for closed session. Item 13, anybody have items of information?
I'm cooking beef and noodles.
That's
for
what I say,
Sunday,
when's beef and noodles?
but I'm only making 200 quarts of it, so it's a first come, first serve.
I forgot. I do want to remind everybody.
My
that
family.
Thursday, Veterans Day,
Oh,
the
that's
ceremonies are down at on Hazel Street. I believe it's at the Vietnam
Great Vietnam.
Korean monument this year. Of course, the American Legion always serves chili afterwards, as well as the VFW.
Yep.
So if you know anybody in your family or any veteran at all, especially if they're World War II era, and even the Korean gentlemen and ladies are getting older now, go get their stories because they're about to be gone.
Yep. And Vietnam's getting close.
Yeah.
I mean, really?
Yeah.
And veterans ride free on the DMT buses Thursday. So.
Oh, great.
I'm riding free then.
Okay, having satisfied the agenda, item number 14, motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned. Yes.
Okay, see ya.
We did,